all games have been postponed until I believe April 6th right now, or that might have changed since. There might be.
It's probably gonna get delayed even further, especially now that they're saying it's 7 players with with one from the taxi squad in COVID protocol, which we'll get into later. But yeah, sorry, listeners of the CreaseCast. Today's episode isn't really going to be full of positives or great news, unfortunately. If you haven't caught up yet, the Vancouver Canucks had their Wednesday game against Calgary canceled due to a positive test with Adam Gaudette. The team did a second batch of testing after their practice, and before receiving all of those secondary tests back, the team elected to engage in their morning skate, which is, I mean, we can get
It's
into it, but
yeah, it technically speaking, they, as far as the league protocols are concerned, they didn't do anything incorrectly.
correct.
But
They were following the rules properly.
yes.
But unfortunately, when you anyone like watching this unfold on Twitter, because they obviously their media guys are there to live tweet updates as morning skates unfolding. They're tracking who's on the ice, who's not. The fact that there was anyone on the ice for a morning skate practice when they were still waiting on tests to come back on who else tested positive, if it was a COVID variant, which is running rampant in BC right now. It seems like a huge dereliction of duty to protect the players. I know that hockey players are very stuck in their regiments and their routine, so like I could see why they might not want to delay their morning skate because they're so used to doing a morning skate before a game at a certain time. But when one of their own gets a positive test and pulled from practice like an hour and a half into that practice one day, how is there not anyone in the medical staff or anyone there going, hey, maybe we shouldn't have a morning skate at all?
Or
Especially if we don't have all the test results clearing everyone else.
yeah, and it's not like you can't get the ice time later.
Yeah.
It's your rink. No
The
one.
arena is literally there just for the Canucks at this point. That's it.
And even if even if it wasn't, it's not like there's any other events going on right now. It's
Yeah,
not like
there's
there's
no
any events
concerts.
that need the floor.
Yeah.
And I know that there's a game supposed to be a game that night,
Yeah.
but you gotta at least just go, okay, guys, please don't show up at the rink yet. Stay where you are.
Mm-hmm.
Or at the very, or there's enough empty rooms in Rogers Arena where you could go, okay, we're gonna send you guys each to your own. You guys go get dressed in, like, literally go get dressed in the press boxes or the luxury suites or something, right?
Yeah,
Send each one
exactly.
to one of those spots in the building. Tell them to just sit tight and wait. They'll have to sit in their skate guards. Obviously, they'll have to like sit in their skate guards, bring their skate guards with them and everything,
Mm-hmm.
so they can walk across the building and everything. But it's like, okay, we're just going to keep literally everybody separate until we know for sure what's going on, and then we'll let them through. Like, they did everything right in terms of especially the initial COVID case. Like the initial COVID case, it was a little with Gaudette. It was a little bit tougher because they were
It
already in the middle of practice before
yeah.
things went wrong. The second one I don't understand because I don't understand in the sense of like, well, you knew somebody got COVID and they'd literally been practicing with half your team. Why didn't you just wait? Why didn't you just wait like 10 minutes? Maybe I know I'm guessing, I'm taking a wild guess and saying that the Flames probably had the ice like right after, we're going to have the ice right after to themselves.
Maybe.
Maybe. This is just it sucks. Like, this sucks. I feel bad. I don't feel bad for like, I don't feel bad for the league in this case because that's like, they're not. I don't think the guidelines were really what they set in mind. They didn't really they set the as they could, but I think they could have done more. I just feel bad for the players and the coaching staff who are all like gonna get stuck in, have to quarantine away from their families and whatnot. Oh, possibly with them because I mean they've all been in
Well,
contact with them probably since then.
based on some of the tweets that come out, it kind of seems like it's just hit everyone related to the team.
Yeah.
Adam Gaudette's spouse, Michaela Gaudette, was on Twitter basically saying like she feels like shit. Adam is very unwell as well. He's like exhausted, just feels like complete ass. Uh, Zach McEwen's girlfriend was also on Twitter intimating, in a sense, that her and Zach were not well either. It's just kind of like you knew as soon as Gaudette was pulled mid practice, like that's kind of like the Tim Peel thing, right? Like you knew it was going on, but it would catch up to the league or the team, and it would be exposed for how stupid it is. And in this case, it is why are teams practicing or going ahead with practices before they have all available results to them? Like,
Right.
I don't know how it would be that difficult to mandate this and say, hey, team X, if you don't have Adam Gaudette's test results yet, he shouldn't be allowed in the arena to change in the locker room and take the ice.
Right.
The fact that he was pulled an hour and a half into a practice one day, and then the following day he is, or sorry, not he, but the rest of the team is showing up as if like nothing's wrong, and they're
Like it's
practicing.
business as
It's
usual.
business as usual. There's no there's no extra precaution taken, even though they had just shared a ton of ice time with someone who was positive. Like you, you can't be like, oh, okay, we take COVID seriously. We want the health and safety of our players. We're putting that first, and then in that same breath, be like, oh yeah, we don't need all the test results. Just everyone come in. That's your morning skate. We're probably gonna play. Let's not err on the side of caution in this case, because what we're prioritizing as a team is being ready for the game at hand, which is like just mind-bogglingly stupid to me. Like I don't know how this isn't really being approached by mainstream media members. Like they're like, obviously today a lot of people are going, oh, in hindsight that's pretty dumb, and it's like, well, where was this outrage on the Wednesday, or sorry, the Tuesday, when Adam got pulled? Why wasn't there an outcry from people saying they should not be practicing tomorrow? Like I think I tweeted out like, hey, what, this is so stupid. Why is Adam Gaudette, or it's very cool and good that Adam Gaudette is or the practice went ahead with Gaudette before his test result came in, and then after he was pulled, like everything was just like back to normal. And
Right.
people were like, "Oh, shut the fuck up! Don't fucking whine. You don't have all the information." It's like, if someone tests positive at your or I's work, we have to probably isolate depending on where we were with that person at our work, right?
Right.
Like it's the same thing.
And
Like
even if you don't come into contact with them directly, they touch things during the day, like they touch like the objects in
yeah,
the room.
they
They'll
share like a
use
big
certain.
buffet of food thing, and like their one it's like a team only kind of lounge
Yeah,
thing
they
that,
breathe the same. They're breathing in the same airspace pretty much as you are, regardless, because you're all in the same room.
yep, they
And I'm not
share
talking
a
about the
gym.
ice necessarily. Yeah, like the locker room, the gym, common room. Like I've
Yeah,
seen the
like that.
Canucks locker room before. It's a
It's
big
small. It's
space, but
small though.
it's
When
big,
you
but it's
have a whole
shared.
team in there, yeah, and it's
Yeah,
shared,
it's
and you just think like they've always said like COVID thrives in cold weather environments. Like, well, if you've been in a rink and if you've ever been in the lower levels of rink, it's fucking cold because it's a
Rogers
goddamn
Arena.
ice rink, and
It
Rogers Arena is like a fridge.
it's so funny because I'm always like, oh, it's such a nice temperature in here. Whenever I have been in there, I'm always like, oh, this is great. I'm never freezing in there. It's always nice and
I
warm.
I usually run pretty hot when I go to a game anyway, because I usually put a sweater under the jersey
Mm.
with pants. So
Yeah,
I'm usually always pretty toasty anyway. But like the Botchford project or whatever, I was wearing my like dress suit, so I was like in like very thin clothing, and I was like, hey, it's kind of chilly in here. I kind of get why the media guys are complaining a bit. It's a little
that's so funny because
it's a bit
literally,
much.
I don't remember if I don't think I was cold during that game or when I did my Giants game. A little bit of a different circumstance, but I remember I don't remember what the temperature was for that. That's interesting. Maybe I was.
You
I
might have
don't.
not noticed because like you were just so excited to actually be in a game. You'll
Oh,
go back now,
probably.
and it'll be such a long time since you've been in a rink. You'll be like, oh,
Uh,
so It's a freezer in here.
God, I wouldn't. God, what I wouldn't give to go back right now. Oh man.
Yeah. So anyway,
Not right.
on the
Not today.
yeah, not
Unfortunately, not
today,
this week.
especially. But
No.
yeah, unfortunately, I think JPat was the first person to post a tweet of the added names to the COVID protocol, which drives me insane further because all of these guys were probably put in bigger danger by going to that morning skate than they would have been just with the playing or practicing with God anyway on Tuesday. Obviously, like if any of these guys contracted it from Godet, like there's nothing the team could have done on that Tuesday, which again drives the focus on the whole why are they practicing without test results in the first place. But then to make them go to morning skate the following day, I mean, one of those seven names outside of Gaudet's, or sorry, one of those six names outside of Gaudet's probably contracted it on that Wednesday morning skate, which makes you just like tear your hair out and go like, what is going on? What are we even doing here? Um, and as we were talking about before we started recording, we were looking at this list and we were like, man, it is just a list of like the who's who of Canucks players who've just had it so rough this season. Like Alex Edler's taken a huge step back with his skating. He's looking like really old and slow. It hasn't been his best season. Gaudette struggled to score. Like he kind of like looked okay in this bounce back playing with occasionally with VC and then occasionally up with Miller. And then Travis Hamonic, he had that injury to start. He's got, complications with his daughter.
That's
Like,
the
like he took,
that one
like
really
that one's
hit.
the worst one because it's like he like Drance post pointed this out on the Vancast that Hamonic or maybe Patterson, that Hamonic opted out of the playoff bubble despite the fact that he had only played 5 playoff games in the last 5 years. And as everyone knows about hockey players, like it's all about what you can do for the team, what you can do to help your team win. And the fact that he opted out was probably a very difficult decision for him, considering where he was at with Calgary at that time. And then to come into this season, he got his no movement clause
Specifically for that reason. That
specifically
was
for that
the
reason because he was worried. Like obviously his daughter's health comes first, and he does not want to be a million miles away midway through the season because the team traded him to New York. Like he did everything under his power to, protect his family and put his family first. And then he basically gets put into an endangering situation by the Canucks team because they elected to practice without test results, which blows my mind. But the other guys on that list who've struggled this season, like Braden Holtby, hasn't really found his form. He hasn't really had that resurgence that a lot of people thought was going to happen when he was with Ian Clark. Quinn Hughes has completely regressed in his defensive ability. He's still an offensive monster, but like just the defensive side of the game has been like a complete train wreck this year. Zach McEwen hasn't had the scoring touch that he had last year. He's looked okay in brief stints, but he's really struggled to kind of find this form that like vaulted him into contention of being an everyday NHLer at the conclusion of last season and prior to the playoff bubble.
and has really
And
not gotten the and hasn't gotten the trust of Travis Green for most of the season. A lot of games
no,
where he plays very little ice time, and
yeah,
that's when he's not being healthy scratched.
exactly. And then the last guy on that list is another guy who hasn't really earned the trust of the coach either, which is Antoine Roussel. And that's mostly because I want to say his skating has kind of taken a hit or his mobility has taken a hit because of his knee surgery. He still looks like he's got good burst speed, like in a pinch, like he can go really fast in brief little spurts, but there's no 200-foot game. Like he isn't the Antoine Roussel in that first year of his deal where it looked like the team had just like struck gold with this two-way forward who was going to be like a dominant creator for them. And then the last guy on the list is Cole Lind, who is on the list purely because he's been called up to the taxi squad. It's not like an actual COVID positive test. We hope.
We hope.
We hope. Like, I mean, that would be just unbelievable if he actually tested positive. Like, just a rotten string of luck. So, I mean, the question does become just like why are teams practicing without test results? Like you and I can sit here till we're blue in the face and go like we know how reckless and dangerous it is to put yourself in a room with someone that tested positive or in a group of people that were exposed to someone that was positive. So why? How can like a near $1 billion franchise organization just ignore common medical sense? I think I saw someone saying like, "Oh, we still don't know what like the dangers of COVID or whatever, or how it spreads." And it's like,
Somebody
okay,
actually
but
said that. Jesus.
yeah, and I was like, okay, but we know enough. We
We
know
know
enough that
enough
if
to go,
someone
hey,
tests positive and is in a locker room with all these people, you should probably err on the side of caution and shut shit down so you can make sure everyone's safe.
yeah, a bunch of teams did that in the early parts of the season where if they had even a false, like, hell, I think the Canucks did it at one point
Yeah,
where when
they're
they found out Jody Bet, they
with
just
Ben
shut down
and JD
everything
Pitt.
for a couple days, and they were just like, okay, nope, everyone stay home. And then for some reason they decided not to this time, and now it has completely come back to bite them.
Yeah,
Um,
teams looking
and
at like I don't know how many games now going to be tacked on at the end of their season. There's a lot of implications on Twitter today that they're like, there's no way games are probably going to get canceled. Like there's revenue on the line for Sportsnet, so probably there's going to be 6 or 7 games bumped to the very end of the season, and then playoffs just get delayed while teams play catch up. Which
right,
for a team like the Canucks, who they finally got their break in the schedule. They were complaining about how Montreal had their break, even though it wasn't a break. It was literally a shutdown because of COVID. Like how awfully ironic is it that Antoine Roussel is spending his week off complaining about the week off that Montreal had, even though it was because of COVID, and then 5 days later, he's on the COVID protocol list because the team is exposed to Adam Gaudette and COVID for however he managed to get it. That is some horrific irony. Like,
yeah,
oh man, it's like the Rudy Gobert thing when he's touching all the microphones at the end, and then the next
that
day it's like
that
the whole world shut down because he had tested positive.
him and Tom Hanks, and literally that shot of him touching the mics is forever burned in my
Yeah,
memory. Like
it is.
I'll never be able to unsee it when I hear his name ever.
Yeah. So it's the same
Um,
thing. Like Antoine Roussel is on a press conference complaining about a break in the schedule for Montreal because of COVID, not because they had a scheduled break, but a COVID outbreak. And here he is a week later on a COVID break because the team has been exposed. Like, man, that is some karmic or cosmic justice or whatever at work in some dark and depressing way.
Unfortunately, yeah,
Yeah, like it's just shitty.
it's
Like
shitty.
the impact on the season is going to be huge. Like when they come back, Montreal is probably going to be completely caught up in games played. So is Winnipeg. Like, every team's going to be caught up to them in games played. And I think right now Montreal is something like 4 games back or 3 games back, but they're like 7 or 8 points ahead now.
Something like that. They're
Like it
playing right now,
is
I believe. Or
it was. I mean, you and I have talked about it like the entire season. Basically, like the season was likely toast anyway because of how bad that February was. Like, there's just no way they could conceivably catch up on like with all the games they played. Like they would had to have gone like 16-1-3, like just points in every single game basically to even have a shot. And now they're going to be coming back off of probably a 2 week, maybe 2 week minimum break because of COVID.
and they're not going to be
And
coming back rested. That's for darn sure.
no,
Like
like they're
even
gonna
if
be
it's
like
yeah,
lethargic. They're gonna be coming back feeling like shit. Like look at any athlete. Like look at Mika Zibanejad. Like it took him like the entire season to recover from his COVID stint, and like granted, it paid off with like a 4 point game against Philly or whatever it
it
was.
eventually got back to normal, but
Right, but it
it
was
took
such a
forever.
long time that like that's time that the Canucks they're not afforded because now they're already truncated back half of the season, uh made even more truncated because they're gonna have to jam in like 6 or 7 games into this schedule. Like tough break made even worse. Like, so if you're one of these players that was like already on the team thinking, oh man, it's going to be fucking tough to come back from this hole we dug ourselves, and then sitting idly by for like a week and a half on COVID protocol and being asked to return and do like 7 back-to-backs in a month to catch up on all the games you missed. You know what I mean? It's going to be like for anyone that was hopeful or still remained hopeful that they might make playoffs, like I'm so
This is
sorry.
it. This is it. It's over. It literally just fell into the ocean. Like there's not, and frankly, at the end of the day, really, that's secondary. Like that's not important at the end of
Yeah,
the
like at the
day.
end of the day, like
Like
it
I could
doesn't.
give
It
a
really doesn't matter.
I could give a rat's ass if they went if they went winless for the rest of the year, as
Yeah.
long as it meant if it took going winless for the rest of the year to get all those players back healthy with no COVID
Hmm.
issues, I will take with no lingering COVID issues. I would take that in a heartbeat because
Yeah,
because at the
exactly.
end, who gives a shit about 2 points when people's health
Yeah, like that's the thing.
is
It's
at
like
the front of the
what are
thing.
we arguing here? The Canucks are, their season's in the crapper. Everything's gone wrong. They don't have the cap space to get better. They don't have the deals that they can easily move out without shedding assets.
No,
Everything has gone wrong, and it's basically the year is a wash. And to see that guys are basically endangering their lives going to a morning practice for a lost season, like that's a tough look. And you hate to see it, especially in the last year of Quinn Hughes and Pedersen's ELCs. Like they are not going to be cheap.
right.
Um,
And I
so
said
I,
to you on our in the DMs today, I talked about how it's like you're almost like thankful that Pedersen is injured right now and not available to play on the ice and necessarily be as engaged,
yeah,
because frankly he might be one of the few players that's actually like won't get hit here, depending on how much, because again it might, because we've already had talk today, I believe Ian McIntyre on Sportsnet wrote an article today talking about how they're pretty sure it's only going to get worse. There's going to be more
yeah.
positives
There
tomorrow,
after that morning
and
skate, there's no way that it's not going to get worse.
not, and for not just for the players, but for the staff, the equipment people, like
Yeah,
anyone who comes into close contact with that team. And okay, one thing I would like to say as well, while I have the floor, is hey, if you're somebody who's going and going and being rude to the players or their significant others on social media because they got COVID and are trying to like blame them, go fuck yourself. How about that?
yeah, straight up.
Because hey, like as far as I mean, from what I've heard, they've done nothing wrong. They don't know how they got it. It's not like he's straight up.
It's
It's not like any of these players have ever been like, oh, you wearing sheeple or anything. Like, no, they've been
yeah,
following all the rules the whole season. And for you to go out and basically blame and whine at them for getting sick with a disease that just about every one of us has had our lives impacted by, and complain at them like it's somehow their fault for coming into
yeah,
contact with
like
it, and just because you can't watch your sports for 2.5 hours, like seriously,
yeah, like fuck
go
off.
jump off a cliff. Why don't you?
Yeah,
Like get a life, get a hobby. Get a different hobby, because
I
clearly this one's not for you because you don't care about human lives.
yeah, like really, like they're people first. Like granted, they are afforded the luxury of being able to play a pro sport for a living and are paid very handsomely for it, but that does not erase the fact that they are humans.
And that
Uh,
doesn't give you a right
yeah, that does not
to
give
be
you
shitty to them.
ownership. Yeah, you do not get ownership of a player's livelihood just because you bought a fucking jersey once and you paid to go see tickets or whatever. You just
No,
like
they
fuck you.
they
You don't matter. Um, like a
they've
guy
given
like
you a
Zach McEwen, for example, who had, like as we said, hasn't had a good year. In the past 365 days, he's lost his father. He lost his puppy. Uh, Now he's afflicted with COVID. Like you do not need to be going into the guy's fucking Instagram or on his Twitter and giving him and his girlfriend shit for getting exposed and canceling hockey. Like hockey does not fucking matter. It's a fucking game.
no.
Okay. We sit here and we critique it and critique the way that a team is managed so that they might win the prestigious award that comes with being like one of the best teams. But at the end of the day, it doesn't fucking matter.
No,
So cool it.
we're very
Don't be giving Michaela Godet shit because she is a human who is allowed to go grocery shopping. Like, are you
yeah.
kidding me?
People are someone was sending around like that clip from the broadcast live thing where they were trying to like say, oh, it's look at what she did. It's like, what do you mean
Yeah,
she went to the
saying it like
grocery,
it's a gotcha moment too.
like
Like,
yeah, like what, she went to the she went to the grocery store, like, you know,
Yeah.
every one of us has to do.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that that's
It's
against the rules, apparently. It's just a huge, it's such a disaster. We're very fortunate that you and I get to talk about hockey every single, like, twice a week.
yeah.
And generally, well, technically, you and I talk every single day. We're very lucky
Mhm.
that we get to do that. Not everyone is afforded that in it within itself. And you guys who are listening to us, you're afforded the luxury to be able to, you know, sit and spend about a few hours, like an hour or two of your day, just listening to hockey stuff. Like, that's not
Yeah.
something a lot of people, like, it might sound like a god-given right almost, but it's a privilege at the end of the
Yeah.
day to get
Absolutely.
to not only to get to do what you and I do, but to get to listen to the stuff that people put out every single day about a part of the
About a
world that
hobby.
about a
Yeah.
hobby that
Yeah.
doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. Like,
Yeah.
it might matter to you and I more than it should,
Mhm.
necessarily, like, in terms of what actual
Well,
worldly importance, but that's not really the point at the end of the day.
I'll
It's
posit it
about,
this way. I'll posit it this way too. Like, look at me and you. Like, we talk about this on a podcast that has a very small reach, but we do it every single or every second day or whatever because we care and we're passionate. We
yeah,
obviously love hockey to a extensive degree, but
yes, more than most things.
we don't love it to the point of we are going to blame hockey players for contracting a disease that is affecting a global population because we're not fucking psycho.
This is
Okay?
not,
The
this is
people
the
that are like going after them are like they want I mean there's
it's
an
basically just the,
archetype basically of
yeah,
the person who is going after like the hockey wags
or
for
the players. It's
or the players, but like it seems like they're directing their rage towards like the hockey wags, like the people going after Michaela Gaudette and are like you dumb bitch, you should have just been staying home all day. And it's like that's obviously a type of mentality in a certain fan base or fan group. And I use fan very likely in this instance because they obviously want their women to be placated, do nothing, stay at home, make them dinner, and not do anything at all. You know what I mean? Like the types of people that do this shit or like going after the hockey wags are just like complete sexist knobs.
there's this idea in just that for some reason people think that, like, their favorite entertainers and, like, athletes and what have you, basically just owe them, even though in reality what you're getting, like, hours of entertainment for generally for free to out from that what they do. If anything, you owe them for what you know, for them being able to give you all
Yeah.
these great hours of moments of time. So and when I say owe them, I don't mean like, oh, here, I need to, like, you know, send you, like, it's not like you need to send me, like, you know, do physical gifts or something. It's literally just like, hey, when they get sick with a disease, how about you just give them some respect and time, like, just to let them uh go work through it. People have lives far away from the things that they do, and from the things that
Yeah,
you
word.
might get enjoy from them, and you owe it to them as someone who claims to be a fan of their work and everything they do, to when to let them, like, live in peace, for especially when it comes to a disease that we don't know anything about that could potentially, for a lot of these players,
Yeah.
shorten the amount of time that they're able to play the sport that you enjoy, because already there's a lot of concern about what are the long-term ramifications of COVID. We don't necessarily know everything about that, but we do know that a lot of people have been coming out of it with not so with less than 100% lungs anymore, and that's kind of very important when it comes to sports and athletics. If your lungs are not capable of doing the same things they could before, it's very hard to do any sort of physical activity, especially at an elite level where you are the 1% of the best in your field in that sport.